Welcome to Just Relationships, the show that offers you concrete ways to make your relationships better. Whether it's your boss, your spouse, your children, or your friends, the quality of your relationships in life directly affects how you feel about yourself and the success you achieve. Your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer, a psychotherapist, telecoach, author, and seminar leader, will interview top experts to help you learn to manage this essential part of your life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer.
Greetings to you. Well, are you interested in abundance? Do you think that you have the opportunity for abundance in your life? How would you define abundance? You know, many people live a life of scarcity with a mindset of scarcity, and there's actually more abundance that is beyond most people's vision and multiple possibilities. So if you're interested in abundance and you are interested in Dennis Merritt Jones, whom I interviewed last week on his book, The Art of Uncertainty, and if you've been waiting for this show, here we go. Welcome back, Dennis.
Thank you. It's good to be back with you, Dr. Duffy.
Thank you, Dennis. So, again, I ask you, do you agree with my introduction, my assessment of the situation?
No question about it. I think that abundance is one of those issues that affects every human being on the planet. And one of the things that I hope we can talk about is we have to understand the difference between abundance and prosperity.
Oh, good. That's excellent. Let's start with that.
Well, abundance is, first let me set up this by
Sure.
saying why I wrote the book.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write the book. The book is not about how to get more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? People see a book with the word prosperity in the title.
Yes,
and they think it's about manifesting stuff. And
right.
I don't want to demonize stuff. Stuff's great.
Yeah.
I got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But the book is not about how to get stuff. It's how to actualize a principle, a universal principle of abundance, or another way to say it is a principle of more than enough.
Mm.
And the principle of abundance encompasses far more than the money in your wallet, or the kind of car you drive, or the size of the house you live in, where it's located. All of these things, they can add value to your life, but not necessarily meaning.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
See, prosperity, when we focus on creating prosperity, it can add value. There's no question about it to our net worth. But the question is, does it really increase our self-worth? And when we learn to live in the awareness of the principle of abundance, we really understand that life itself is the opportunities to live a prosperous life, which means anything you can conceive of, there's more than enough available. Now, we have to lift our minds above material stuff, which is all good. Again, it's wonderful to have that. And the book will show you how to get that too. But that's not the point of the book. The point of the book is that when we access the principle of abundance, which is really an etheric energy, it spills into every area of our lives. Who among us would not like to have an abundance of friends? Or an abundance of hugs? Or smiles in the elevator,
Yes.
Or time to enjoy life, There's no boundaries around the concept of abundance, Abundance is as defined in the dictionary is an extremely plentiful, over-sufficient quantity or supply and overflowing fullness. And I write that right in the book. And I say, note, that this definition does not specify form, only a degree, or implies more than enough. So abundance is a principle that goes beyond form. It's energy. Abundance is absolute potential available to whoever can actualize it by transforming pure potential into a solid reality. And that's cause and effect. Abundance is the universal principle of first cause. Prosperity is the effect or the outpicturing of that in the material world.
Oh, I see. So prosperity refers to the material world.
It refers to the demonstration or the manifestation of abundance, which is a principle.
Oh, I see. Okay. So the principle, you use the term pure potential. Did I get that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's pure potential because it has not been actualized yet.
Right.
The minute it's actualized through us by means of our thoughts and beliefs, then it finds its way into form in our lives, whether that's a material form or the form of abundant, healthy relationships, or abundant amount of time on our hands. There's all kinds of ways that more than enough can show up.
Right. More than enough. This is really good. This is like the difference between surviving and thriving.
Exactly right.
Yes,
right.
So more than enough. And when I think of that, life is energy.
Right.
And do I have more than enough energy?
Well, you've got an ample amount. The question is, are you utilizing it?
Right.
You have access to unlimited energy. You know, the reality is that we're energy conduits. We're energy conductors. Energy moves through us, and the purest form of energy that moves through us is our thoughts and our beliefs.
Oh, yes.
And we're always converting energy from one form into another. Einstein's theorem, E equals mc squared, it's just energy converting itself into form of some form or another, and then eventually back into energy.
Oh, thank you. That was very simply explained. I've heard that for centuries, E equals mc squared, and energy, matter, energy.
Right, and the 2 in mc squared stands for the speed of light. In other words, everything is moving at an incredibly fast pace beyond what we can conceive of. And that's how fast energy can move through us and as us in our by means of our thinking, which converts to actions.
Right. Well, the thinking drives our feelings, and our feelings drive our behavior. Yes. And most people don't look at it that way.
The opposite.
Right, feelings seem so spontaneous. You mean they come from thoughts and or beliefs. And how is that? Because they're often so unconscious.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the question I ask people is this: what would your life look like today if imagine this, if on the day you were born you were taught that you were born into a sea of abundance, if you were born into a life of more than enough of whatever you could conceive of, how would your life look different today than it does if you had been taught from the day you were born that there was no shortage of anything?
Wow. That is a powerful question, all right.
Yeah, well, the question, that question, when I do this I'll stand in front of 1,000 people and ask that question. I'll have them close their eyes and do a little guided visualization around it.
Yes.
And you can see the faces. Some of them are frowning, and some are smiling, and some are grimacing. And the question I then ask is, does that question that I just asked rise to your head in doubtfulness and pessimistic mindset, or does it gently ascend deep into your heart where it's affirmed that it's possible? Because too many times, if we're stuck in the belief in not enough, there's no way we'll ever believe that we'll be able to manifest a life of more than enough. Because our beliefs determine our thoughts, which guide and drive our actions.
Yes, so when people have beliefs of scarcity, of hopelessness, and let's say they are born with a very low socioeconomic status and say in a ghetto, and they are limited by what they have learned, how they have been treated.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
In the scriptures, that says the errors of the father are passed to the son.
Right.
Which means generation to generation beliefs.
Right.
And if we were taught, if we were born into a belief system that there's not enough, we're going to have experiences that prove that there's not enough.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part, is that our life is always manifesting for us at the level that we believe it's going to.
Because we have to be right.
Yeah.
Even about being wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm a teacher of consciousness. I believe consciousness prevails. And consciousness is really another term for the collective every belief you've ever had from the day you were born until this moment in time forms your consciousness, your belief system.
Mm-hmm.
And the world doesn't have a prosperity problem; it has a consciousness problem.
Mm.
Because we're stuck in that belief that there's not enough.
Mm.
And so the question I ask people is, what does more than enough look like to you? Can you even conceive of it?
Mm.
The answer can be different. That answer can be different for every human being. But the principle that transforms essence, meaning of the energy of abundance, into form or experience is the same. It's the same principle.
And so how could we apply this to this myth of perfectionism in our society, where people are taught that they have to be a certain way and be so constricted and just to be able to say to themselves, I am enough, I am more than enough?
That's a really good question, Dr. Duffy.
Mm.
I think that we live in a shame-based society.
Yes.
And just for clarification, my understanding of shame is the difference between shame and guilt, or they're kind of like kissing cousins. Guilt is a feeling that we've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Shame is more of a feeling and a belief that we are a mistake.
Right.
That we're not enough. And no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, there'll always be a hole in the soul. There'll be a piece missing that tells us we're not enough.
Right.
And when we believe that we're not enough, perfectionism arises as a tool or mechanism to prove to others that we are enough, even when we know we're not, when we believe that we're not.
Right. Right. So it's living in a constant state of having to prove you're enough because you yourself don't even believe it.
Yeah, and it's exhausting. After a while, you get tired of holding the facades up,
Yeah.
And perfectionism is really about trying to control other people's opinions of us.
Oh, my goodness. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, living in abundance is an all-inclusive term for having more than enough of whatever makes life worth living. That can be more than enough love, more than enough time, more than enough hugs, more than enough food, more than enough money, and more than enough relationships. What can you conceive of? What does more than enough look like to you? Because that's how much you can have and no more.
So my cup runneth over, right? My cup runneth over. I am so full, I am fulfilled.
Yep, but you have to own it. You have to accept it. There's a difference between having abundance and accepting it. So you don't have to earn abundance. That's a really important aspect of this whole of the book. You don't have to earn abundance. You only have to learn how to accept it. The gift's already been made.
Right.
And that's why the 10 rules in the book lead you sequentially from the basic concept of you're one with your source, one with life, through the first 3 chapters. The rules are guiding you through principles that we're talking about, and then the following chapters, the rules, take you to understanding how to develop a consciousness of more than enough. And I don't know if you know. Last week you read the chapter titles out of the book.
Yes. Would you like me to read this
Yeah, if you
one?
would, that'd be great.
And I want you to know, Dennis, I have never done this with any author before. And I bet you say that to all your authors. I've been doing this show for over 20 years, but I find your titles so intriguing. Okay, so the 10 rules for a prosperous life in the art of abundance. Rule 1, be one with life. Rule 2, be aware you live in an expanding universe. Rule 3, be accountable for your consciousness. Rule 4, be focused. Rule 5, be in the flow. Rule 6, be passionate. Rule 7, be blessed. Rule 8, be of service. Rule 9, be courageous. Rule 10, be a catalyst for good.
Right.
Wow.
and you'll see